Hey guys, on people on Twitch, is the audio actually alright or is it too loud? Twitch, is the audio actually alright or is it too loud? Twitch, is the audio actually alright or is it too
All right. Well, we're just getting set up here. People are still streaming in. There's a little bit of an echo on your end, Excelsior, just so you know. Cool. All right, Marika, just so you know, I don't know if you're aware of this, but you are currently muted.
I'm aware.
Yeah, Excelsior, you have some feedback coming through Discord.
Oops. Secrets.
Yeah, well, we've got about 2 minutes to the official start time, and then I think we should give people a little bit, like maybe like 2-3 minutes, just to continue streaming in for the ones who are late.
Yeah, no problem.
All right. Once we get started here, Marika, just let me know when you're ready for some questions, and then we'll take some questions from the Curious Cat. I'll forward them to you when the time comes.
Yeah, no problem.
Also, we have some feedback coming from your microphone. I don't know, maybe you want to enable noise suppression.
I've got the noise suppression on. Let me check.
For those of you in the Discord call right now, if you're not currently tuned into the Twitch as well, we would definitely appreciate. You can go ahead and mute the audio on the stream itself, but if you could just jump into the stream, that would be very helpful for us. right, let's go ahead and start in 3 minutes. Cool. 9:05 EST.
Sure. Okay.
Hello. By the way, Marika, as much as I'd love to have your avatar showing, unfortunately, if we have somebody streaming their video, Discord does that thing where only 25 people can be in the call. And we have other people trying to get in, so you might want to just turn that off.
All right. No problem.
Yeah, sorry. It's a weird Discord limitation. There we go.
Discord's weird, I guess.
Yeah, for anybody who's in the stream who was not able to get into the VC, you should be able to get in now. All right. Well, we're starting in 1 minute here. Welcome all. This is our second workshop. We're very excited to present acting and live performance for VTubers. It's a very important skill set to have. You know, not everyone streams with a character, but if you do, or if you're interested in doing so, this will be a good help to you. All right. It is officially 9:05. Excelsior, you can switch over to the live screen for the slides. And Marika, whenever you're ready, you can get started.
Neat. All right. Hello, everybody. It's good to see. Like, wow, we have like a lot of people coming over to watch. All right, so I am your what do you call it, workshop person today. Marika, Valera. Nice to meet y'all. Yeah. Well, today's workshop we're going to be talking about acting and live performance. Um, as far as I understand, it's not really like the most common thing. Like maybe there are a lot of VTubers who've had experience like being in front of an audience doing some sort of like acting, maybe something like that. But you know, it's not something everybody knows how to do. It's not something everybody's had a chance to experience. And in many cases, it's not a thing that many people have had like a straight up education in, you know? Um, and even for people who did like workshops and stuff, maybe they didn't learn like more of the a bit of like the academic side of it. And that's something I think would be a good thing to learn, good thing to know about. And well, you know, let's get started. Of course, we'll be taking questions throughout the stream. At certain points, I'll just give you guys a heads up, VStars, about if I'd like to look at some questions anybody has. All right, so let's get started. Wait, there. Just a quick thing about myself. So again, I'm Marika Valera. here's my qualifications. I feel like I need to say why what my experience is. So as far as theater goes, I only really acted in high school theater, but we were very serious about it. We only did like Broadway musicals, which was kind of a lot, and our director was very uh well, I won't say like he was a bad person, but he was very intense and he took it very seriously. And we had a lot of workshops with former members of the club who went on to become professional theater actors and film actors. I think one of our workshop leaders from before ended up on the West End. So like, yeah, I've worked with some really talented people back in high school. When when I went into college, I ended up going into film school. I learned how to direct and write, and we even had some theoretical acting classes in university too. I've directed short films. I've directed animated movies. I've worked with actors. I've worked with voice actors. Um, Definitely, the high school stuff helped there in terms of teaching them, but in terms of like directing them, and it gave me like a better perspective on like what it's like to be acting from the other side. Um, Also on the side, it's I'm part of like this comedy theater group in my city. We write like comedic like skits, I guess you could call it. Together I'm one of the actors as well. We give each other notes, we work. A lot of our members are also professional actors in theater, film, commercials, all of that stuff. So I've got a lot of friends and I've got personal experiences in acting and I've done a lot of reading and stuff on acting. So I hope I've got enough experience so that I can at least share some ideas with y'all. So let's get going. Uh to quote Wikipedia. To quote Wikipedia. A story acting is a story told by means of its enactment by an actor who adopts a character. Um, it's a very, very basic definition, but there are some key things to take away from here. What is so like so there's this idea of like there's a story, there's an actor, human being telling the story, and they're telling that story through a character, right? And um, I guess it's a good place to note that you can kind of separate this idea. Like a story isn't necessarily like a narrative. A story can be like just like your story as a character or just you as a person. That's a story too. You the actor, that is you the person who is doing the job of being the human being behind the character, and of course your character themselves. We're all going to look into these things a little bit deeper after a bit, but for now it's just kind of our working definition of what acting is. um so my job today more or less is to for you all create kind of a theory of acting for VTubers because um I don't think it's I don't think it would be weird for me to say that I've looked around a lot of places and I couldn't really find um acting specifically targeted towards VTubers. Obviously, most of the literature on acting is targeted at theater people or film actors. You know, the normal kind, but not a lot of info on how like doing workshops for like streamers for like VTubers also. Um, so what are we trying to build here? We're trying to make this idea of what it means to be an actor who is a VTuber. And that's kind of what we're trying to put together here. But maybe the first question we can ask ourselves very quickly, just to kind of center our brains, is like what's the point like of learning acting? Um because I mean, it kind of feels weird, right? Like, are we really acting when we're streaming? Are we really? What are we doing here? Why do we need to talk about acting? Why do we need to be performing? Um, so given that, I think I made this next slide to illustrate just some ideas of how acting theory can help you as a streamer in person. So first, art and visual is only a portion of character creation, Like you go get commissions, you get your character drawn, or you draw it yourself, you do the art, you do the visuals, you do all of that stuff, and you put it on stream, and that's cool. But then ultimately that's only like half of the job. There's the person talking, there's the person doing the there's the person that's moving around, there's the person that's there. That's all part of your character, that's all part of your identity as a VTuber. And so learning about acting, giving you insight into performance stuff can make is a better thing to like help you craft what your character is, who your character is, and what they do. Okay, next is being more involved in your streaming and interactions. If you know how to kind of perform on stage in front of human beings live, it helps you when you transition to an online medium, when you're talking to people and you're working with others. You're able to kind of keep your focus on the things you want to be focused on, whether that's chat, whether that's your game, whether that's your collab partners, whatever. um then to prepare for unplanned and unexpected issues or events, sometimes weird things happen, and it's good to know how to keep your cool, how to keep your brain in the game, and just keep pushing on. Sometimes that's one of the things you learn while acting is sometimes things go wrong, and you have to figure out how to roll with that without freaking out, without panicking, right? Collabing better. There's a lot about acting that's learning how to share the spotlight, that's learning how to um talk with other people, that's learning how to give attention back and forth, all of that stuff. Learning how to act does help you do stuff with other people, does teaches you how to relate to others. Of course, a lot of this stream is going to be more focused on being by yourself in your room streaming. But a lot of the principles that you can take out of this acting thingy, this workshop, can also teach you how to talk to other people that you work with, other people that you bring on stream, and to understand yourself on a deeper level. I'm not just talking about VTubing, I'm talking about you, the human being behind the VTuber, how to understand you as a person, right? And how to understand your own body, your own voice, your own self, right? Those are all things that acting makes you kind of hyper aware of, and so it kind of helps you out in terms of what you're doing. All right. Next. So let's get some bad vibes out of the way and discuss what's not true about acting for VTubers. Okay, but acting, right? It's just emoting. You're just kind of copying. You're just kind of saying like, "Oh, I have to be sad now. I have to be happy now," which isn't true. Acting isn't just kind of putting things together like that. Acting's about kind of experiencing what's happening in front of you. Acting is experiencing the other people who are around you. Um, Acting is putting your actual self forward, kind of, and it's an empathetic thing. You're kind of wanting to feel like, in terms of a script, how do you put yourself in other people's shoes? But acting is also like this experience, of where you are, who you are, what you're doing. um, Number two, you need to be naturally talented to act, which is not true. Like most skills, acting is something that can be developed with hard work and a bit of education. Learning the fundamentals, putting things together, and you're not just born a good actor. And none of the actors that you're fans of, none of the VTubers you're fans of, they weren't born this charismatic, they weren't born this interesting. Those are all ideas that they put together. Also, they put themselves together, right? Character is something that you create. And the last one, I don't need it. Streaming is just being yourself anyway. Not really. You'd think, right? It this is the one I think that kind of feels the most intuitive. Like I'm just sitting down, I'm just being me in front of the camera, right? Um, if you're putting yourself in front of a camera, if you're doing your thingy, you gotta. It's more about you're kind of creating a character anyway, right? Even if that character is just a streaming version of yourself, it's a performance, right? And learning how to tune that performance, learning how to understand you, how to understand yourself in a way that is not just you, the person at home, but you, the person on camera, you, the person behind an avatar, I think is something that is valuable to learn. Alrighty. So let's move into acting theory. Um, Now this is like the more academic bit, but then I'm not gonna make it like dense or anything. I'm just gonna make it something that's easy to understand, easy to put together, something like that, you know. So we're using Stanislavski's system for VTubing, his acting system. So who who is Konstantin Stanislavski? This feels like a very interesting slide to put in a workshop for VTubers. This Russian man. So let's talk about him. Who is Konstantin Stanislavski? Stanislavski was a Soviet and Russian theater practitioner, and he was the co-founder of the famous Moscow Art Theater. And what he's most well known for is creating his own system of actor training, preparation, and rehearsal. And he outlined his theories of acting in his 3 books: An Actor Prepares, Building a Character, and Preparing a Role. And this guy is literally the backbone of all acting theory in modern times. Basically, anybody who has been and if you are an actor at all and you started working post 1950s and you've done anything and you got an education, you probably either learned ideas this guy came up with, or you learned ideas that were inspired by this guy. Literally every single person, every Hollywood actor, every theater actor, all most of the ideas were based on this guy's work. So it's very important that we should learn his ideas. Um, because they are very good ideas. They're very smart ideas. So let's run over just the key points of Stanislavski's system. I think that if you just kind of understand these points alone, it already helps you out a lot in terms of what it means to be an actor. First is the magic if. Um, Stanislavski said it's not realistic to think of like to literally believe that you're acting as a sort of character. The magic if is a method of asking yourself, like, I think his example was, um if this is happening, then what do you do, right? If you are this person, what would you do? If I was a witch Vichu, if I was a witch girl with like blonde hair and stuff, what kind of person would I be? If I am this, if I am that. You're constantly asking yourself, what is, like, if I was this, then what, right? That's the magic if. Constantly actively asking yourself, if you were in this situation, what does that mean for you as an actor? Next is given circumstances. And given circumstances is the concept of everything around you, basically, more or less. It's in their terms in theater, given circumstances are like the background of your character, like their backstory, their current situation in life, everything that they take into the scene with them in their head. Given circumstances is also what's on set, what's around you, what's going on with the other person, what's in the scene, what can you sit on, what can you hold. Those are your given circumstances. And basically your given circumstances create like the boundaries of your scene, the boundaries of your acting. That's what you can do, that's what you can touch, that's what you can hold, that's what you can work with. And you can't go beyond those things. So you work with what you have. That's what the idea of the given circumstances are. And the magic if ties into your given circumstances. Like, what can I do if I am given this set of circumstances, right? So they kind of tie in together. Super objective and objective are more for narrative based ideas. Your super objective is your characters thing they want most in the world forever. Like, what's the one thing they need? They need more than anything else over everything else, right? And their objective is kind of like more moment to moment. Like, what do they need right now? What do they want at the moment, right? Your super objective is like your live stream, but your objective right now is what you're trying to do in this like scene or something. All right. And the last idea, which is very important, is physical action, right? Because Stanislavski's idea was like, yeah, you have all of this stuff, right? All of these ideas in your brain, but it doesn't matter how much thinking you do in your head because people aren't going to listen to your thoughts. People can only know about your character via your physical actions, what you do, what you say. Those are that's how people know who you are. So there's this idea of you have to kind of build yourself through your actions on stage, on film, whatever, right? Um, so basically, he said every thought should have the germ of an action inside it. Every desire, everything you want to do, it should be translatable into a literal thing you can do, right? There's no thought without an action tied to it. So how do we apply Stanislavski to VTubing? Um, you'd think it's kind of like a distant like difference, but that's not really. There's a lot you can connect within too. First of all, you should consider how your character's background, your stream setup, and other circumstances, right? Um, your character's backstory is important, of course, because it kind of tells you like who you are, what you sound like, what your vibe is. Your stream setup, things like can you move, can you not? Do you have a layout? What how far can you move in that layout? What are the bounds of your webcam capturing your movements, etc., etc., etc. All those are other things that you can think about in terms of like your given circumstances, right? All of those things serve as your limits in terms of how far you can move yourself, go around with your body, and all of that. Um, Next is to always actively consider how your character would act and use if often in your thoughts, right? Always be thinking about what's my character doing? What am I doing here? What am I thinking? Somebody just said something in chat that I found funny. What would my character say? If I was my character, what's my response? What's my thought, right? You should always be actively thinking about that. Um, Stanislavski always said that it's not about like inspiration and things like that where you just suddenly have like this stroke of genius. That's subconscious, and ultimately it's inconsistent. You can't always be inspired. So if you want to make art that is good, if you want to make art that is consistent, art that is a a high degree of quality always, it's something that you have to practice in terms of like doing what physical things can you put together, what conscious things can you think of that actively create a subconscious that is inspired, right? How do you so what are you thinking of? What are your actions? And yeah, that connects to the next point. Audience can only know you through your actions, your movement and speech. You can think all of the nice things about your character you want, but if you don't actually say or think any of it, it's pointless, right? You're just thinking it. You gotta you gotta do something for people to see it. Basically, right? You gotta do it. You just gotta you have to know what your character you have to let people know what your character is, and you build that up through what you do that people can see, people can hear, people can experience. And that's basically you push the limits of your character. Your character has walls that we talked about. You hit those walls, bump into them, crash into them. You can't you can't move far past like a certain point or else your webcam's gonna stop capturing you. Then go that far. Don't know where your limits are, figure them out first, and then do everything you can to fill up that space. I think is a good plan. Um, but Stanislavski himself wasn't like a wasn't like he didn't jail people to his ideas. He said, create your own method, don't depend slavishly on mine, make up something that will work for you, but keep breaking traditions, I beg you. It's I think it's a good plan. You should always have ideas over you should always be able to kind of express yourself, have different ideas about acting. He encourages and I encourage you to kind of make up your own way of acting, your own way of thinking about character, your own way of putting together stuff. I'm giving you like the stuff I'm giving you is stuff that's like helpful and works, but it doesn't mean you can't just make stuff up. Keep trying, keep experimenting. There's nobody stopping you. So Stanislavski's theories are very what's the word? I won't say well, they are basic, they are fundamental. But then another important idea that you should bring with you, of course, also is improvisational acting. Improv. Because you're live. It's and like half of VTubing is on the fly, right? And it's you've gotta make stuff up, and you've got to learn how to act right on the edge of your seat and do stuff that is very. How do you do that? How do you improv, right? So I talk to my friends who do improv, who do a lot of improv and do like the workshops and everything. And these were the key points they talked to me about in terms of what's important when you do improv acting. First of all, everything is a gift. Everything that happens suddenly, everything that's given to you in like your scene and like your situation, that's good. That's something to use, right? Never you never you don't reject what you get out of your stream. Somebody being weird in chat, use it. Something glitches out in your game and it messes up everything, use it. Use it to your advantage. Use it to your make it something. That goes to the next point, which is yes and right. Never say no to stuff. Never say no to what you're. Never say no what to like if you're collabing what your collab partner gives you. Never say no. If something goes weird, if something goes that isn't planned, don't say no. Don't say like, oh, this is wrong. I'm sorry, this is bad. No. Just go with it. Yes and yes. And then like you add on top of what's been given to you, right? You take what's been given to you and then you put stuff on top of it. You add to the situation. You put your own spin on it. You add qualifiers. You make things extra. You don't ever reject what you've been given in terms of like what's happening around you. Give me a sec. Gotta drink water. I've been talking for like 30 minutes already.
Stay hydrated. You know what? This is a good time if you're down, Marika,
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
take some
Actually,
questions. What do you say?
all right. Yeah, I'm down with questions. Let's do the
All right.
question.
First question. What are good vocal exercises or preparations before a performance?
Before performance. Yeah, God, I'm trying to remember when we would do like vocal stuff before. Of course, staying hydrated is great. Um, I remember I lost my voice once before one of my big shows, and like back when I was in theater, and it was crazy. They're like but generally, I don't think I ever did like strict vocal exercises, but I'm pretty sure I've looked them up before. You can find a lot of people who do them on YouTube who can teach you. I don't
Mind,
really know.
mind if I jump in?
Yeah, if you have
Yeah,
ideas.
I'm an actor as well.
Oh well, there you go.
Yeah, I would say tongue twisters. There's plenty of those. Red leather, yellow leather. Do that over and over again. Copper bottomed coffee pot, stuff like that. Practice your plosives. Staying hydrated is a big thing. Hot water with lemon is a big thing. Right before a
Yeah, for sure.
performance. If you're feeling a little hoarse, it helps a lot. But yeah, just do tongue twisters. Do standard like singer vocal warm ups. If you don't know those, like Marika was saying, you can look those up on YouTube. Even though they're singer warm ups, they apply for like any performance as well.
Oh God, yeah, we did a lot of singer warm ups back then, like with the scales and stuff. Ma ma
Hmm.
ma ma
Hmm.
ma 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 ma. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
We also did a lot of, I think, like diaphragm practice, learning how to talk from like yeah, your diaphragm and stuff. We'd read like excerpts from Greek plays and things like that, very loud. Uh, but I think your suggestions are more practical in terms of like um not necessarily projecting, but like I guess they're looking for something that gives them like easier to like say things.
Yeah. It sounds
Easier to
weird, but you want to warm up your mouth. You know,
yeah,
like
basically. Yeah, for sure.
you're going to be talking for an extended period of time when you're streaming.
Mhm.
for
There are
X amount of
sorts of
hours.
there are all sorts of vocal exercises you can do. I think there are like vocal exercises that are a bit like um there are like certain exercises you can also do about like changing your voice, but that's those are like this is like advanced stuff afterward. But it's like it's good to do stuff that helps with your voice because you can get like you can be more aware of like your vocal tract, be more aware of like where your what your throat's doing, what the muscles in your neck are doing when you talk. I think it's good to always be aware of your body. And yeah, well, acting is being aware of your body more or less, right?
Yeah,
So
my professors always told me, like, if you feel like you're thirsty, it's already too late.
yeah,
Like you should have
exactly.
been hydrated the night before. You know what I mean?
True,
So if you
true,
know
true.
I'm streaming tomorrow, you should be drinking water the night before to prepare your voice for sure.
Exactly.
All right, next
Water, water,
question.
water, water. Yeah.
What would you say is the best way to stay in character for longer streams?
Best way to stay in character. I honestly, I really think it comes out of you stay in character longer the more you understand your character, the more you know like the more you know who you are, right? It's kind of a confidence thing. It's kind of being just more aware of like what am I doing? What am I like? Right? Because a lot of staying in character is having like answers to those questions, like what would I do? What would my character do if they were in this situation? Right? And uh having that having like the clarity to know what the answers are to that comes from this very whole understanding of what your character is, right? And what your character does and how they act, right? It's like and I think also having a little bit of like what I'm talking about now with the improv stuff is having a clear idea of what how to just make stuff up. But make stuff up in a way that fits your character, right? Um it's not bad to break character exactly on stream, just as long as you don't make it look like a gigantic deal or anything. I'll cover that a little bit later about breaking character. Actually, it's part of the presentation. Uh, but you gotta, but then yeah, I'd say staying in character is really a matter of knowing your character, of knowing how your character, knowing what your situation is, knowing how they feel in that situation, and doing the things physically that will help show people that you know what's in your brain character wise. That's what I'd say.
Cool.
Mm,
All right, we'll take. We have 3 more questions here, but we're gonna take one more, and then we're gonna move on, and then we're gonna take some
yeah,
more questions after. Is that cool?
yeah. Let's do it.
For people who are limited in terms of physical movements with their models, what would you suggest they do as a substitute for movement of the body?
Is this for like their model can't move a lot, or their model can't move like at all? I think
I would assume it's
you-
like for PNG tubers or.
yeah, PNG tubers. Because yeah, I'd say if you have a moving well, if your model can move at all, I'll cover this a bit later. But move big, right? Overact. I'll talk about that a bit later, but then for PNG tubers, if you can't move at all, um, your main physical interaction with your stream is your voice, right? So you really have to know how to use your voice well, how to paint a picture of your character with just your voice, right? So it becomes even more important to do like what we talked about earlier, or like those vocal drills, how to um know how to show emotion through what your voice is doing. Like right now, right? I'm doing this workshop and my avatar isn't up. So I've been really having to like kind of find ways to say words that in like almost an overacting way so you can kind of tell what my face looks like. Basically. Because yeah, you don't have the advantage of being able to have a body that moves around, so really your voice is your main thingy. And honestly, even if you can move around, your voice is still your main thingy because you don't have like the advantage of having like moving hands all the time. You can't walk around the stage. You can't There are lots of things that are you have a lot of limits, right? But limits are simply limits are simply a space for you to be creative in. You know where your walls are. You know you can't move. So what can you do with just your voice that makes your character, right? And this is in line with what's on this slide right now, this idea of be interested, not interesting, where it's not necessarily about just you, the actor. It's not just about you, the person that people are coming to see. It's about you doing stuff, right? It's about the scene. It's about the situation. They want to see, sure, they want to see you, but they also want to see what you're doing. And it's that interaction between you and what you're doing that is actually what people are interested in. As long as there's truth behind what your voice is saying, what your emotions are saying, and like the situation at hand, that's already going to pull people in a lot. That's what people are going to be. People are going to want to see that. That's something that's really fun. Uh, that's actually a good segue. I can just keep going on with the slide, can't I?
You can.
All right. Um, so yeah, for the last point on the slide is to lean into the fun. If something's fun, do it. It's a very simple point. But sometimes you have this idea of like, oh no, this is the scene, this is the idea. I gotta do the scene. I gotta do this is what my stream is like. This is what my stream is like. And you get kind of trapped in this idea of like, oh no, I have to it's like, sure, that looks like fun, but that wasn't what was in my head when I thought about doing the stream. It doesn't matter what was in your head before, right? All that matters is what's on screen now, what the people are seeing, and how they're working with it. Don't let yourself be like jailed by the idea of your stream. If something fun if there's something fun in a direction that's taking you away from what your plan was, go with it. Go with it. Lean into it. It's fun. Take the fun. Go with the fun. Fun's fun. Fun's fun. So have fun. Next, let's apply improv acting to VTubing. Why don't we? Um, wait, I'm just noticing because like I've got the Twitch thingy open on my phone too. Is that like an older version of my slides without all the pictures? I think it is.
It would appear so.
Yeah, because like I've got this big love life picture on my my current stream. Hmm. Should we just keep going?
Yeah, I would say so. Picture for those on the stream, picture a bunch of cute anime girls hanging out.
Most of the time it's that. Most of the time it's cute anime girls and like some sort of vibe. Hey, how do we apply improv acting to VTubing? A lot of this is what I already said. Don't say no to unexpected situations and roll with the surprises. Things will happen that aren't on your schedule. Just let it happen, you know. Find ways to work with it, find ways to make um the situation fun, something enjoyable. Um don't ever be like in a rejecting mood and be like, that's not how I want this to be. I'm changing it. I'm changing it back to what I wanted. But don't be like that. just, just roll with the vibe. If people are having fun with what's going on now, even if it's not what you plan, use it. Just go with what's happening. Commit to the bit. Next is always be aware of your surroundings. What's happening on your stream and on chat in your room. There's a lot going on all at once. Um, Acting is like that too. In acting, you kind of have to always be aware of everything that's going on around you. What's happening in the audience, what's happening on stage, what's happening with your characters. They're looking at you. Everything's yeah. You gotta always know what's happening. And same with streaming. People are chatting. If you're in a collab, there's somebody right there. There's something happening in that game you're playing. There's something happening. Like your cat's coming, and you could totally talk about your cat for a bit. People would like that. I don't know. There's always something that's going on around you, and you've gotta be aware of it. You've gotta take measures so that those things that you get aware of those things. Like if you don't have like alerts for things like follows, things like raids, you should. People love it when their like names get read on stream and stuff. When they get acknowledged, when their messages get read. That's the stuff You've got that's the stuff people really like, and you've got to always be prepared to like take those situations, right? Next, and it's not about you, but you and the situation you're in. I mentioned this already. It's if people just wanted to, well, people can just look at you talk, but even the act of just being on screen and talking is like an interaction. It's you and like your chat, you and like the other people you have on, you and your life. It's like you just by yourself without anything happening. That's not what's interesting about it, right? What's interesting is you interacting with the world around you, and that's something you should keep in mind, that there is a world around you. It's not just you. Don't feel stressed to follow your ideal stream. Yeah, always allow things to change up if it means you can get more out of your character. Every situation that is unexpected and new is an opportunity to get your character to express themselves. Right? Always treat every new situation as a chance for you to show off your character in new and fun ways. Right? Maybe there's some sort of weird, unexpected gap moe part at your character that you can show off by doing your by taking advantage of a surprising situation. And in collabs, make the most out of working with others. It's a boon. It's a gift to have other people, other human beings who can speak language in the same stream as you, because you can bounce off of them. They're another human being with lots of ideas, and it usually makes things a lot more unpredictable, a lot more interesting, a lot more fun. So um, if you have somebody else there, use them as much as you can. You got to do it. It's really like if you're doing collabs and you're just kind of being quiet, or you're not sure how to interact with other people, you got to find ways to make it work. Make it work within the boundaries of your character. All right. Next slide. So basically, those are all of the theoretical-ish ideas. So now we're kind of want to build this idea of what's your philosophy as an actor VTuber, right? What's your plan? What's your game plan? What are you doing? So let's go and check what are the things you can do, right? All right. First is overacting. Overacting for VTubers. I actually got a friend of mine. Her name's she's also a streamer, Crimea Cupcake. She did acting before too. So I asked her like, what's it like when you're acting as a VTuber? And so first is to keep talking. Don't not talk, right? Don't wait for your audience to initiate your conversations for you. You should be the one who they react to, right? You're the one who's supposed to be talking. I think I remember somebody said it's a good plan. Just hide your viewer count if you have it on your stream. What I do is I have it like hover over. So like sometimes if I'm like I just need to check how many are like on right now, then yeah. But if I'm doing something else, I'm just gonna keep talking. Just keep saying things. Keep interacting with whatever you're streaming. At the same time, keep interacting with whoever is in your chat. Figure it out, but no dead air. If people just come into your stream and they see you not doing anything, then they're gonna leave, right? You should always be doing something. Second, overact your movements. If you can move, overact them, right? Move hard. You know what tracking software is like in the year of our Lord 2021. It's not brilliant, and you can only move so far. Live 2D can only do so much. 3D software can only do so much. Move big, right? It's like theater. In theater, the person you're acting for is the person at the back of the theater with the bad eyesight. They have to know what you're doing from all the way over there. You can't just make like the smallest head movement in the world. You kind of have to make a big head movement if you want them to see you. Same thing with VTubing. You're streaming for people who are looking at what's basically a cartoon doll of yourself that is not exactly human in terms of movement. So you gotta move big. You've gotta move hard, right? That doesn't mean like move crazy aggressively and like terrifyingly, right? It just means that if you're going to do a movement, even if it's like a slow, gentle one, make it a big, slow, gentle movement. Yeah, that's possible. Lastly, is to put emotion in your voice. This is important, especially for people who aren't movable. Right, your voice is the most expressive part of yourself as a VTuber. Make the most of it. The voice is the one thing of yours that will actually carry through correctly, more or less, when you stream. So be sure to go as far as you can with it. Can you sing? Can you hit different notes? Can you speak different languages? Do everything your voice can do to get people to listen to you. Know how people sound when they feel certain ways. Know how to emote. All like, well, not emote, but learn how to use your voice to express yourself. All right. Character is important, and not just, and like straight up, just character is important, and you should know stuff about your character if you wanna, if you're streaming. Now, all VTubers, all streamers are technically they're characters, right? They are a well, I wouldn't even say human, but they are like figures that have like wants and needs. And even if your wants and needs are just yourself wanting to get like, I don't know, more followers. That's a want. That's a desire. That's you. You're a character, right? Um, and in VTubing, kind of, your character is like the sum of like the character you're designing, and yourself, right? It's like an intersection of those two things. Your character, so it's like you're kind of trying to do this like thing where it is you, but it's also not really you. That's kind of the That's what I find interesting about streaming, about VTubing, right? That you are playing a character, but it's not really you, but at the same time it is. And that's important. It's important to keep that in mind, that it is still you there, kind of. There is a person behind the VTuber, as we like to say, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you're not this other person you've created, right? That you've built. And being aware of the fact that it's something built means that it is something that can be changed, modified, worked with, adjusted, all of that stuff. So it's important to keep that in mind. Um, yeah, and all your questions, all of the things that you're gonna have to run into, all of the situations you're part of, they're answered by your character and who they are, right? Going back again to Stanislavski's like magical if, right? Every question that you run into as a character is, what would I do? What would I do if I was this character? What would I do if I was this character? The autumn say Asking yourself the if automatically puts you in that mindset of like, yeah, what would I do if that was me? And you're not thinking anymore about what to feel, you're thinking about what to do. And so it's a good mindset to put yourself in. Your character is the answer to the questions that come up, right? Think about your character circumstances, desires, decide the actions that express them. That's basically your framework, right? What what's around you? What do you got? Who were you? What do you want? Think about all of those things, and then think, what's the specific action that expresses those things, right? There's always an action. You can figure out an action. It might not be the best action. You don't have to think about it too hard. Just do what you think is the best way to show that. And your characters have boundaries, right? Your character goes up to here. Your character has this voice. Your character has this look. Your character has this body. Um, and being aware of your boundaries again makes it easier for you to know how far you can go. Right? Your limits are not things getting in your way. Your limits are the space you have to explore, experiment. Your character is much bigger than you think it is, honestly, and you can really do a lot with what you've got, even if you feel like what you've got is like small, even if you feel like what you've got isn't as expressive as you want it to be. It is infinitely more expressive and infinitely more interesting than you think, really. And next, we really want to talk. I really want to talk about this. Like again, just, it's so important. The power of your voice. Your voice is the most important acting tool you have as a VTuber, because people aren't like seeing your physical body. People are seeing your VTubing avatar and all of that, but they're hearing your voice. Your voice is there. Your voice is correct, and your voice is real. And my first thing that I'd say is that get a good mic. Please get a good mic as much as possible. Um, and if you can't get like not even like a expensive mic, there are lots of pretty cheap mics already. But even if you don't have a great mic, figure it out. Find a way to like. There are like some really good effects out there that you can plug into like your software that makes your mic sound much better. My mic is really cheap, but I got an XLR mixer and I got some good plugins for my streams, and now I sound pretty decent. Um, so that's really great. You know, a good mic really does go a long way. I think if there's one thing that you should invest in most, it's really a microphone. It's really your sound, and don't put it like super near your face. You know, give yourself some room, or you're gonna be echoey, and or like kind of distorted, or it's gonna be hard to mix all of that. You decide how your voice sounds. I don't sound like this when I'm talking to like my family. Um, Not just in terms of like pitch, but in terms of like my diction, or when I'm talking, or like in terms of like my cadence, my intonation, all of that. I made this voice for streaming, basically, right? I created it. I learned how to use my throat. How to I learned how to project myself in certain ways. Your voice is something changeable, dynamic, and it's never a fixed thing. Don't ever think that your voice is like this way and I can't do anything about it. If you don't like the way your voice sounds and you feel like you can't do anything about it physically, get software. Who cares if you're using a voice changer? Who cares if you're adding weird effects to it, right? That's your choice. That's your character. Your character is up to you. It's up to you to change, it's up to you to distort, it's up to you to mess with. Nobody can take that away from you. Your voice is extremely flexible. Definitely. Don't feel pressured to sound a certain way. If your avatar is like the cutest, cute, fluffy rabbit girl in the world, but you have like this really like sultry, deep voice, sure, that's your character. Why not? That's you. Do it. Do it. Don't feel pressured that the way your character looks has to sound a certain way. If you're like this very buff man, but then you have this very like sweet voice, that's your character too. That's you. That's unique. You know, your character expresses something about you, right? And if you want, like, sure, your voice is one way, and you feel like you want to make your voice a certain thing, but then if you also feel like I just want my voice to sound like this, I don't care if it doesn't aesthetically fit my character. That's up to you too. Everything is up to you. You have you have the means to know what your character sounds like, what your character should be like, and all of that stuff. Now, c'est inevitable. Sometimes you will go out of character. Eh, it's not that big a deal. It really isn't. Um, don't panic. Don't force yourself back into it. If you break, you know, it's again, everything's a gift. If you break character, use it. Use that break. Make it fun. Lean into the fun. Right? Don't be like don't get all flustered and you don't know how and you freak out or whatever. It's nothing worth freaking out over. It's something that you can do for fun. There's that rumor that the actors on SNL actually would break character on purpose because it's funnier. It's that kind of thing. Um, Second, if your audience doesn't know something went wrong, they'll never know something went wrong. Don't tell them. Don't let them know. Have them just pretend everything was cool the whole time. They can't argue, right? They only see what they see. So just go with it. Just pretend that was your plan from the start. That's all acting is. Just keep pretending that they don't that everything is cool. That nothing went wrong and you totally meant to sound like weird for that, whatever. Whatever. You break character, whatever. And going out of character, actually, it's a good opportunity to explore new sides to your character and you can add more to yourself, right? Um Character creation doesn't end when you finish your reference sheet posted on Twitter and ask for retweets for your model reveal. um, Character creation is a process that lasts your entire life, your entire stint with your character. You can keep building it, you can change it, you can redesign it, you can make it whatever you want. Your character is a flexible, weird thing that shifts and morphs and all sorts of stuff. Going out of character, maybe just think of it as another chance to do something new with it, right? To change it a bit. You just gotta just lean into it, work with it. It's fun. It's great. Have fun. Um, and yeah, here's my last slide. Basically, it's another quote from Stanislavski that he said to love art in yourself and not yourself in art. It's the art inside you, right? That's what you love. that's what you enjoy. It's not you doing the art that's great, right? It's not you being an artist. It's not you having this artistic career. That's the important part. Art is the thing. It's you feeling the art coming out that's in your heart. It's you. It's you doing art, right? You love the art. That's what you should, and I think that's the core of what being an art person is all about. Streaming is an art thing, right? And all of that stuff. So I think that's a good, I think that's a good attitude to have when it comes to yourself, is to love the art that's in you and not just you being an art person, right? So that's the slideshow.
All
Oh
right.
man. All right. So that's what I have to say about acting and performing. Uh well, I guess now is a good time to take questions after the
All right.
stream.
Now we go to questions.
Yeah, all
All right.
righty.
Thank you so much for the main portion of
Mhm.
the presentation there.
All
Put the
right. Cue
clappers
that.
in chat.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
all right, let's get into some questions. So,
Questions.
where were we? All right.
All right.
What's a good way to find your voice range or vocal range?
There's software for that. There's
Mm.
um yeah, there are like I I don't know where to like tell you to look specifically, but I've downloaded like there are apps that can that can like detect like what pitch your voice is at. Um if you want to go more advanced, there are spectrograms that can tell you like the what frequency your voice is and like what your resonances are. And and they're all free, they're all interesting. It's not some but it's not something I'd say is like you like well, knowing your vocal range is nice for things like singing, for knowing how high, how low you can go, obviously. But it's not something you have to be like super stressed about, I'd say. Like it's good to know, but it's not something you should be like again, I'm not gonna be the person to go like, oh, your voice should be higher, oh, your voice should be lower, you know? You should find a way to figure out it's a good tool to have to know what you can do. Um yeah, that's all I'd really say. It's a if it's a I'd say it's like vocal software like that can detect like frequencies and pitch. It's good for like practicing. It's good for like if you are in the process of if you're if you're practicing like your voice training, if you're trying to change the way you sound and everything. Those are all that's it. There's lots of useful software out there. Um but but yeah, I'd say yeah. That's it. You can find a lot. There are lots of places where you can find those programs, and they are free. There are lots of free programs that do great jobs. Yeah.
All right. Cool. All right. Next question. This is a long one.
Okay.
How to react if someone is clearly acting against my wishes, ignoring, for example, that I'm saying no, you aren't going to kiss me, and they still write those things in chat. Always saying yes doesn't work. What do you do if you're feeling unwell because of one ass who can't take a no and you're not able to kick them? Since you might allow others to do the same, nearly the same in chat. Also, kicking for small things is not helpful for growth. So, finding a solution without the almighty ban hammer would be great.
Sounds like you have a harassment problem instead of an acting problem. Uh, when to go back to what I was saying, when I said yes and right, it doesn't mean literally say yes to what people are telling you. What yes and is like as a philosophy means that when you have situations, it's um you don't turn down opportunities to keep doing things like fun. You don't turn down opportunities to keep things interesting, right? Um, but that doesn't mean just like agreeing or going with like say bad things that are happening to you. I know you say like, oh, I can't like I don't want to, I'm like trying to grow my thing, I don't want to have to like use, I don't want to have to like ban someone who's being like whatever. Honestly, maybe you should. Maybe you should. if they're like if they're like constantly like an annoying presence, you can time them out. I don't know, you have mods. um Yeah, it's not really an acting. This is, I guess, it's not super acting related. But if you stay in character, find ways to dunk on them in character if you're the type of person who does that. Or if it's in your characters, honestly, if it's in character to just ban them, just ban them. Honestly, it's really just better down the line. Like sure you're growing, but growing as a VTuber doesn't mean that you're giving people a free pass to be a jerk to you because you need views. If I had one viewer and that viewer sucked and was mean to me, I'd ban them. Period. That's it. It's better for you to foster a community that is good instead of just allowing people to be like, yeah, like a certain way to you. That's how I'd say. Um, yeah, it's not exactly an acting thing, but that's what I'd say. You don't have to being saying yes to new opportunities and stuff acting wise doesn't mean saying yes to um allowing bad things to happen to you. Saying yes can mean banning them and making a nice little show out of it. you know, use it to your advantage. Use the ban to your advantage. Yeah,
All right.
that's what I'd say.
All right. Next question. What do you do when you feel your audience is starting to lose interest?
Well, yeah, that's something I kind of have to. That's something I'm working on because like sometimes it really is. It's like a long stream. You don't have a lot of. It's hard to keep the energy up all the time, but there's nothing stopping you from switching it up, doing something different, doing something completely different suddenly. You're allowed to, right? Um, you can throw something in. You can challenge yourself with some, I don't know, like weird thing. If you're playing a game, games are full of weird activities to do, and you can just do something else. If you feel like people aren't interested in the specific thing you're doing, then stop. Go do something else. You know, nobody's stopping you from changing it up. Nobody's stopping you from um literally just doing a 180 and changing up your entire life. It's you gotta not feel jailed into the idea of what your stream should be. If you feel like it's not interesting, try something else, right? Try something new. Just don't feel like if you feel like something isn't interesting, don't feel like you're obliged to keep doing the same thing constantly or just do the same thing you're doing at the moment, right? Um, have things that your chat can interact with. Have things that you can add things into your streaming experience that's fun for people to do because sure there's watching, but you've got things like channel points, you've got things like cheer alerts. There are lots of fun ways for your chatters to do stuff with you as a streamer, right? This isn't again I guess that's not very acting specific, but then those are things you can do to make your stream more interesting. In terms of your acting specifically, um I'd always say go back to character. What would my character do in a situation where they feel like people are ignoring them? If I was the character and nobody was talking to me and I wanted them to, what would my character do? Ask yourself about your character. Ask yourself what your character would do and do that. Again, you can think like, oh, it's like not interesting what would my character do, and you can just think about it in your head. But then if you don't do anything, nothing's gonna happen, right? And well, there, basically, I think that's the answer. Nothing's gonna happen if you don't do anything. So do something else, change it up. Yeah, that's what I'd say.
Cool.
Oh,
Next question is how can you be funny on the spot?
God, if only we could answer that question, then it would be so much easier. Being funny is hard. Being funny is very hard, honestly. And it's a vibe, and everybody is funny in like you get 100 people who are trying to be funny, and they'll all be funny in different ways. So funny on the spot, it's an improv thing, like I was saying. Making the most of your current situation, being aware of your surroundings, knowing what's going around, knowing what's happening, knowing blah 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 blah. It's about you have your own specific sense of humor. and your character has a specific sense of humor, you gotta figure out what your character does, right? Um, what people find funny is up to them, honestly. The best thing you can do is kind of um be what your idea of entertaining is. If you think people find this thing funny and you like it, then keep doing stuff like that. Keep doing things in that vein. Um, develop a sense of wit. Like watch, like when it comes to things like developing like a sense of humor, a sense of creativity. A lot of that is just like, watch comedians, watch VTubers, watch streamers, watch people who are funny. If you want to be funny, figure out like how their thoughts work. But then also think about how you think about things, right? Because a lot of people are funnier than they think they are. And most of the time the problem is they're just not hitting the right audience, or they're not or they just have a different sense of humor. And it's about finding out what's funny to do. That's general. Generally, just it's like I can't tell you how to be funny in every specific situation, but I think having an open mind and having an awareness that having like a good humored vibe to like things in general makes it easier to be funnier on the spot when things happen. But your sense of humor is yours. I can't tell you how to create a sense of humor because it really depends on who you are, how you grew up, and how you exist. So that's all I'd say about that. Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. I think we'll take 3 more questions and then we'll wrap things up.
Good.
How do you think about that? Good.
Yeah, three's
All right.
fine.
All
Give me.
righty.
Let's go.
Let's see. Next question is, I see so many high energy VTubers doing well in the streaming world. Are quiet, laid back VTubers still a viable option for character?
100%. Are you kidding me? Some of my favorite VTubers are like the quiet, chill ones. Like just look up the comfy tag. it's like a whole it's like an industry basically. Character. Like when we talk about good character doesn't mean energetic character, you know? Good character means interesting. Good character means something like full. People who are like if you're good at interacting with people, if you're good working with your situations, if you know what to do and stuff, those all help. You don't necessarily have to be like high energy anything if it means being interesting, right? Um of course if you're on stream, right, it will kind of bias you if you're the type who is like fast and interacts with people a lot and does a lot of things all at the same time, because that's just the nature of the job. But there's a way to do all those things in like a more quiet pace, in a more chill manner, right? I've seen streamers who are successful and like they read chat messages like 2 minutes after they show up, but that's because they have an audience that knows like that they're gonna wait and they're patient about it, right? You create the audience you get, right? And so the kind of environment you foster through your characters will create the kind of audience that ends up being close to you, that ends up being um, in tune with the kind of character you are. And so what I'd say is that there is 100% a market. There are people who definitely like quiet streamers, you know. ASMR as a whole is a quiet experience and that's huge, right? It's not necessarily that you have to be hyperactive or you have to be loud. It's about being true to yourself and your character and giving your audience an experience that they like, right? It doesn't have to be about you don't have to be a specific way. There isn't only one way to be a VTuber. Everybody is a different VTuber to each other. And the ways we all try to be entertaining, the ways we all try to work with what we have as VTubers, like our tech, our our setups and all of that. Those will all determine our limits and everything. What happens all inside of that is really just up to you. You don't have to be a certain way. There's no specific way to be a VTuber. You can be whatever you want. Yeah,
Cool.
cool.
All right. Next question is, how do you keep talking when no one is in chat?
Pretend. What I would do is pretend. Hide your viewer count. I noticed back then when I used to have my viewer count up all the time and I would see like one viewer, then I would talk less because I was just like, oh, it's just one guy and I know who they are and I don't wanna and like, yeah. I'll just wait till more people show up. But then people like might be coming in and out, checking on what you're doing, and if you're not saying anything, they're gonna leave. So if you're if you don't really have an active chat, practice talking to yourself in character. Practice narrating what you're doing in character. Um, do weird stuff when no one's around. Honestly, having fewer viewers is a perfect time to get even stranger than you would have been otherwise. Um, it's just back with the same philosophy of like everything being a gift. If you don't have a very active chat, that means they can't stop you from saying weird shit. It means that they can't stop. It means that there's nobody expecting anything from you. So go farther. Um, you gotta. It's you like yeah. Talking to yourself is definitely something you should develop as a streamer because you're going to be talking to yourself most of the time. Most of the time. Um. So again, it's being um interested in the situation, not being interesting as a person, right? You want other people to come in and see somebody who cares about the stream that they're on, see somebody who is um interested in what they're doing, right? Nobody wants to watch somebody who doesn't care about what's going on in front of them, right? Like chat's an audience, right? An audience watches. An audience experiences what's happening with you. So you gotta figure out a way to keep doing you, even if nobody is there, right? Even the best actors can do their shows perfectly in an empty theater. Like how many great rehearsals have I done to nobody? But I gave like my life and energy to perform to that nobody because it's not about whether or not people can see you doing the thing. It's about you knowing you can do the thing. It's about you knowing how to do the acting and doing the performance, right? The performance continues. The performance goes on. People can watch your VOD afterwards. So you gotta just let it out, regardless of how many people are looking at you at any time, regardless if people are talking to you a lot, right? It's about being the interesting thing that people come and watch. And for people to be interested in you, you have to be interested in what you're doing. And people won't know you're interested in what you're doing if you don't physically show it again, right? People only hear what you say and see how you move. So you have to show constantly, mostly by talking, that you're interested in what you're doing, and that's what's going to get people drawn in. Yeah, that's what I'd say.
All
I
right.
think we've got what, one more.
And final question.
All right,
Um,
let's go.
what would you suggest for VTubers that do not have any lore? Should you make lore and retcon it in?
Okay, that's actually kind of fun to talk about because it's kind of interesting. Lore and backstory that I was talking about earlier are not necessarily the same thing, right? When we talk about lore, we're talking about like what, like the back, like the story of your character, the world they're from, the magic they can do, their whatever, how they ended up like this, their origin story, and all of that. That stuff is that stuff's cool. Like it's cool to have. It helps you in terms of building an idea of what your character is like. Lore is cool in terms of knowing who you are and what kind of world your character lives in, but it's not like 100% necessary. I'd say but and I'd say also lore kind of helps in terms of like design because but I think it can be on a more specific level. Like you don't have to make it like a whole thing. If you're the kind of person who likes to have a deep backstory, deep lore, world building, all of that stuff, go for it. Like that stuff, it does help to have all of that info down, right? But your character is very distillable, right? Who you are, is what you want. And yeah, more or less. What does your character want? Your character being you. What do you want, right? Um, it's good. I'd say it's good practice if you're doing like a character to have some idea of what they're like, at least what their life was kind of like, at least what kind of situation they're from, at least what kind of person they are. I think that's good to put together, and that's not too hard. You know, you don't you don't have to write Lord of the Rings every time you make a new VTuber. You just have to have a kind of idea of who you are as a person. Just be like, "Oh, I'm quirky," or "Oh, I'm loud." It can really it doesn't have to be too much. You just kind of have to maybe just like a few words, like when I was putting together my character, and I'm like kind of in the middle of a redesign now. When I was doing that, it was really just came down to, okay, what's my character? I'm kind of like a sorceress, and I guess I'm a bit hyperactive. So let's go with that hyperactive sorceress. What's my build? I guess I'm kind of tall. I guess I'm kind of curvy. Tall, curvy, hyperactive sorceress. And then yeah, basically, and I just kind of went with that, and then after that you let the questions answer themselves. You don't have to write all your lore before you start. You don't have to write any deep lore at all. um it's good to have a character have a backstory, but that backstory can just be like there's like they're like VTubers with like backstories that aren't very complicated or anything. I'm like there's that one that comes to mind is the guy who's like a convenience store worker and he's a VTuber. Great. What an aesthetic. It's a vibe and everybody understands it right away, right? You don't want to have like a deep backstory that's like hard to grasp and everybody's gonna be all like pouring over. You know, this isn't Dark Souls. This is VTubing. You don't want to be confusing. If you want people to you want people to know who you are in like a 5-second cut, more or less, right? And that means don't be too excessively complicated about your backstory. And again, people will only know you through what you do. People will only know you through what they see, what you look like, how you sound, right? That stuff is really the most important. You can have a backstory, but backstory informs how you look. Backstory informs how you act, right? And so lore, you can make it as deep or as shallow as you want, but essentially what people are going to care about in the end is what's in front of them. And as long as people can translate what's in front of them into the character that you have in your head, as long as those things coincide, then you have a character, basically. And you don't have to go deep into it. You don't have to reveal like the names of the 12 knights who fought alongside you in that magical war. If you don't if nobody ever sees those 12 knights, if do the 12 knights show up in your stream layout, then if not, then it's not that big a deal. you can you don't have to. Yeah, I'd say the biggest thing I'd say is you don't have to. If you wanna, sure. But what's most important is what's on screen, what's being said, all of that stuff. You know, what you do is who you are. Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Cool. Then I think that's we consider that the end of it.
That's
Thank
it.
you so much for
Thank you
this
guys.
beautiful presentation. Thank you guys
Oh,
for all the people viewing on Twitch, all the people in the
yes, yes.
Discord right now. Thank you guys for being here. We really appreciate it.
Very much.
Marika, any final words you want to impart on the people before we go?
Final words, huh? Um, always be open to new stuff that happens, right? Don't be afraid to change your character. Don't be afraid to mess with your voice, mess with your look. Don't be afraid to find new limits. Don't be afraid of what your boundaries are because your boundaries are the space in which you're able to create, the space in which you're able to do things. Um, don't be scared. Let yourself free. You know, people want to see you. People really want to see you. You think you're not. You might think you're not interested, or the way you act isn't interesting. That's not true. It's definitely not true. Every single streamer I've come across, every single streamer I've watched, um, a lot of them I really enjoyed it. Everybody has something interesting about them that they can like give out. The only problem is getting people to see it, getting it to be expressed, because it's already there. Everything that's interesting and amazing about you is already inside of you. You just have to learn how to put it outside. That's what acting is, basically taking all of the amazing things in your heart and making them visible, making them understandable, making them heard. You know, you're all of the people watching this who are VTubers. You already have everything you need to be like interesting, expressive, and fun, and and joyful, and it's already all there. It just takes a little bit of practice to put it outside. And once you do, I promise, it's people are going to find you and they're going to love it. So that's, I guess, my final word. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Cool.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. And with
Uh,
that, our
yeah.
second workshop comes to a close.
Yay.
Remember to follow Marika on Twitch, on Twitter. Posted the links in the stream chat.
Yes.
And that is it. Thank you all so much for being here.
Yep. See you guys soon, I guess, if you want. If you want to follow me or anything, the links are over there. I'll see you guys. And thanks to VStars again for like letting me come up here and just talk about acting for like an hour and 30 minutes.
Yeah, it was our pleasure. Absolutely.
Yeah, it was fun. It's fun. You guys are great. I really love I love the community you guys have built, and I'm really excited to see what you guys do next. It's really fun.
Thank you so much. Yeah, a reminder too, if you would like to teach a workshop, if you have something that you think you could teach a workshop on, anybody here, if you look in announcements, scroll up a little bit, we have a form you can submit if you would like to apply to do a workshop of your own. If you have anything to teach. All right, and that's it. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. Have a good one, guys. We are signing out.
Bye bye.